The general production of antibiotics consists of 6 steps, and these are number 1, or letter A, preparation of a pure culture of the desired organism for use in inoculation of the fermentation medium. B, fermentation during which the antibiotic is formed. C, isolation of the antibiotic from the culture medium. D, purification. Letter E, assays for potency, sterility, absence of pyrogen, and other necessary data. And then lastly, formulation into acceptable and stable dosage forms. For the spectrum of antibiotic, meron tayong narrow spectrum and also broad spectrum. So sinabing narrow spectrum, these antibiotics act against a limited group of microorganisms or bacteria. Pag broad naman, larger group of bacteria. Meron pa another one na spectrum of activity, yun yung extended spectrum of activity. No? Let's say for example, meron siyang gram-positive, pwede rin siya as an anti-pseudomonal. Yun yung spectrum of activity. Next, we have bactericidal and bacteriostatic. Pag sinabing bactericidal, cidal killing of microorganism. Pag sinabi namang static, inhibition, inhibits the growth of your microorganism. Next, for the mechanism of action of our antibiotics, meron tayong 5. First one, we have protein synthesis, then cell wall or peptidoglycan synthesis. Next, membrane integrity, then nucleic acid synthesis and metabolic pathways or your folates. Ayan, another table for the mechanism of antibiotic action. So, some will act sa ating cell wall, pwede sa cell membrane, pwede sa ribosomes, either 50S or 30S, pwede rin po sa nucleic acid, pwede rin po sa DNA or RNA. For the mechanism of resistance, meron tayo 4. First, we have your impermeability, wherein there is a modification of cell wall protein. Next one, we have modification. So, meron tayong modification ng drug target. Next, we have the pumping out. So, increasing active efflux of the drug. So, pinapalabas niya yung drugs. Instead na mag-penetrate dun sa drug, lalabas siya, magpa-pump out siya dun sa ating bacteria. And then last, we have your inactivation. So, once you add a phosphate group on the antibiotic, this will reduce its ability to bind to bacterial ribosome. Instead of acting dun sa ribosomes ng ating microorganism, because of the addition of the phosphate group dun sa ating drug, this will inhibit or reduce its activity. Okay, first classification, we have beta-lactam antibiotics. Beta-lactam antibiotics, kasi meron siyang beta-lactam ring. And this beta-lactam ring is attached to our thiazolidine ring. And then the nucleus for our beta-lactam antibiotic is your 6-amino penicillinic acids. Take note, once you substitute an electron withdrawing group in the alpha position of the benzopenicillin, this will stabilize the penicillin to acid catalyzed hydrolysis. So, for the mechanism of action of our beta-lactam antibiotics interferes with the last step of cell wall synthesis. That is your transpeptidation or your cross-linking. So, this will interfere with last step of cell wall synthesis. Ini-inhibit niya yung enzyme na transpeptidase or also known as your penicillin binding protein. These enzymes are yung enzyme na yan, yung transpeptidase or penicillin binding protein, yan yung ini-inhibit na ating beta-lactam antibiotic in order to prevent yung formation ng cell wall. So, by inhibiting it, this will prevent the final cross-linking step in the synthesis of peptidoglycan or your cell wall. Next, we have your penicillin binding proteins functional properties. So, meron tayong 1A and 1B. Yung 1A and 1B, these are your penicillin binding proteins involved in peptidoglycan synthesis associated with cell elongation. Your 2, your penicillin binding protein maintain the rod shape of our bacilli. 3, this is required for septum formation during cell division. Your 4 and 6, they are also known as your carboxypeptidases, which are responsible for the hydrolysis of delta-alanine terminal peptide bonds of the cross-linking peptides. Okay, under beta-lactam antibiotics, we have penicillin. So for the structural activity of penicillin, so once the sulfur atom of the thiazolidine ring is oxidized to sulfone or sulfoxide, this will decrease the activity of the agent. However, it improves acid stability. So pag ito ay na-oxidize to sulfone or sulfoxide, improve niya yung acid stability but decrease the activity of the agent. Position number 2, this is carbon number 2, wala dapat na pwedeng pumalit dyan. Pag may pumalit, any change will lower the activity of the drug. Your methyl group is necessary for the activity of your penicillin. Position number 3. The carboxylic acid is required for the activity of our penicillin. Pag ito ay napalitan ng other functional groups such as alcohol or esters, activity is decreased. Position number 4. Nitrogen is a mass. This is also responsible for the activity of our penicillin. Position number 5. This one, walang pwedeng mag-substitute sa ating hydrogen dito. Pag mayroong substitution na nangyari dyan, this will affect the activity of our penicillin. Position number 7 on the beta-lactam ring is a mass. Position number 6, substitution are allowed in the side chain of the amides. An electron withdrawing group added to the position will give the compound better acid stability because this substitution will make the amide oxygen less nucleophilic. So pag meron tayong addition of electron withdrawing group EWG sa position number 6, this will improve the acid stability of our penicillin. No? But if there is an addition of a bulky group, malaking group, added close to the ring, this will make the compound more resistant to beta-lactamases. And steric hindrance on position number 6 provides protection to the beta-lactam ring. Again, so to record yan. Ito wala dapat substitution. Ito record yan. Ito walang substitution. Yan. Sulfur is essential. No substitution. Ito carboxylic acid is essential. Ito essential yung methyl group dito. Walang substitution. Pag mayroong substitution, decrease yung activity. Nitrogen is a mass. Ito, yan. Pag meron tayong electron withdrawing group attached to this one, improve niya yung acid stability. Pero pag meron tayong bulky group, or which provides steric hindrance to beta-lactamase, no? Yeah. Okay, this is the structure of your beta-lactam or penicillin beta-lactam. No? And the two amino acid precursor of penicillin are your cysteine and your valine. Cysteine, valine, amino acid precursor of penicillin. Ito yung valine, ito siya. Ito yung cysteine, ito siya. Pag pinagsama mo ang valine at cysteine, mabubuo ang penicillin. For the commercial production of antibiotics o penicillin, pwedeng manggaling sa Penicillium notatum or Penicillium chrysogenum. Pero mas mabilis makapag-produce ng penicillin from your Penicillium chrysogenum. Mabilis kasi siyang dumami as compared to Penicillium notatum. Next, allergy to penicillin. The major antigenic determinants for the allergy to penicillin is the penicilloid protein. These proteins are formed when penicillins or its rearrangement products in vivo react with lysine amino groups of proteins resulting to allergic reaction. Again, the major allergic determinant of penicillin is your penicilloyl G-amide or your penicilloyl proteins. Next, we have the classifications of penicillin. So, meron tayong 4 classifications. We have natural, second, penicillinase, resistant or anti-staphylococcal penicillins. Third, we have aminopenicillin. Fourth, we have spectrum or anti-pseudomonas penicillin. Natural penicillin, sila yung first antibiotic discovered. For number 2, penicillinase resistant or anti-staphylococcal penicillins. Ang kanilang spectrum of activity is narrow spectrum. For aminopenicillin, sa kanilang spectrum of activity ay broad spectrum. For number 2, number 3, and number 4, they are considered as semi-synthetic penicillins. Ayan po yung classification ng properties of penicillin. So, meron tayong natural penicillin, anti-pseudomonas, so natural po ito, yung benzopenicillin and penicillin V. The rest po ay semi-synthetic. For the natural penicillins, meron tayong PEN-G and PEN-V. PEN-G administered IV, intravenously. PEN-V administered orally, vonganga, diba? Ito, vonganga, ito ay give, diba? Give. IV, PEN-G, IV, intravenously. PEN-V, V, vonganga. PENG is a salt of penicillin, and these salts of penicillin are inactivated by the gastric juice. Since they are easily destroyed by gastric juices, this penicillin should not be administered orally. Instead, we will administer it intravenously, kaya nga give. The binding site of PENG is penicillin binding protein 3. PENG is also known as benzylpenicillin. Next, we have PENV. PENV is also known as phenoxymethylpenicillin. So the advantage of PENV is that it is narrow spectrum and it is susceptible to penicillinases. Next, we have PENG benzathine. This is usually in depot form. Next classification, we have penicillinase-resistant penicillins. So this includes your ampicillin, napcillin, oxacillin, cloxacillin, and dicloxacillin. Please remember that your oxacillin, cloxacillin, and dicloxacillin, they are considered as isoxazoyl penicillin. Okay, first, we have methicillin. Methicillin is also known as 2,6-dimethoxyphenylpenicillin solution. This is the prototype of all penicillinase-resistant penicillin. However, This was removed in the market due to its interstitial nephritis adverse effect. Oxacillin is acid stable and resistant to penicillinase. Therefore, this can be administered orally. Letter O for orally. Next, we have Cefazolin. So same with Oxacillin, it is acid stable and resistant to penicillinase. Therefore, it is administered orally. Next, we have dicloxacillin. Yeah, same lang. Then, napsilin. The chemical name for napsilin is 2-ethoxy-1-phenylpenicillin. Acid stable din siya and resistant to penicillin. Unlike penicillin, napsilin is stable enough in acid to permit its use by oral administration. So, oral din po ng ating napsilin. Acid stable siya and resistant to penicillin. Penicillinase. Sorry. Okay, next classification, we have aminopenicillin. Penicillins are effective against many gram-negative bacteria as well as gram-positive ones, although they are not resistant to penicillinases. So they are considered broad spectrum. Examples, we have ampicillin and amoxicillin. Next, we have vancomycin. Vancomycin is a product of ampicillin with no antibacterial activity. Aside from vancomycin, hetacillin, cyclacillin are also prodrugs of ampicillin. So vancomycin, hetacillin, cyclacillin are prodrugs of ampicillin. Okay, next we have amoxicillin. Amoxicillin is also known as delta alpha amino para hydroxybenzylpenicillin. Our gram-negative bacilli are sensitive to amoxicillin because of the amino acid group or amino group present in the structure of our amoxicillin. Usually, our amoxicillin is in combination with beta-lactamase inhibitors such as your clavulanic acid. Diba? We have your co-amoxiclav. Co-amoxiclav is a combination of amoxicillin plus clavulanic acid. Brand name, Amoclav, Augmentin, and co. Okay, next classification, we have extended spectrum penicillins. They are also known as anti-pseudomonal penicillins. No? So under extended spectrum penicillins, we have carboxypenicillins. Under carboxypenicillins, we have carbenicillin and ticarcillin. Carbenicillin and ticarcillin are under carboxypenicillin kasi sa structure ng ating carboxypenicillin, meron siyang carboxylic acid. While for your uridopenicillins, kaya siya tinawag na uridopenicillins, sa structure ng ating uridopenicillin ay merong urea. So under your uridopenicillins, we have piperacillin, acetylacillin, and meslocillin. Okay, next we have carbenicillin. Carbenicillin is also known as alpha-carboxybenzylpenicillin. It has a broad range of antimicrobial activity, broader than any other penicillin, a property attributed to a unique carboxyl group. Next, we have ticarcillin. There are two advantages for ticarcillin. First, it has slightly better pharmacokinetic properties, including higher serum levels and a longer duration of action. Second one, greater ang kanyang in vivo potency against several gram-negative bacilli, most notably Pseudomonas aeruginosa and Bacteroides fragilis. Next one, we have meslocillin. So, meron siyang urea sa kanyang structure. Meslocillin is an acyl uridopenicillin with an antibacterial spectrum similar to that of carbenicillin and ticarcillin. However, there are some major differences. It is much more active against most Klebsiella species, Pseudomonas aeruginosa, anaerobic bacteria, and Haemophilus influenzae. And this uridopenicillin exhibit non-linear pharmacokinetics. Okay, next, we have beta-lactamase inhibitors. for the beta-lactamase inhibitors, meron tayong classes. Two classes. Class 1, Class 2. For Class 1, example niya, we have the clavulanic acid and Tazobactam. For Class 2, we have your CARBAPENEMs. Just remember that there are three organisms that produce beta-lactamase or that produce beta-lactamase. We have Staphylococcus aureus, Haemophilus influenzae, and Bacteroides fragilis. Yun po yung tatlong organisms that produces beta-lactamase. Again, meron tayong dalawang class ng beta-lactamase inhibitor, class 1 and class 2. Under class 1, we have clavulanic acid and Tazobactam. Class 2, we have CARBAPENEMs. For clavulanic acid, isolated siya from Streptomyces clavoligerris. For Tazobactam, it is a penicillinic acid sulfone or 1,1-dioxopenicillinic acid. Usually, ang ating Tazobactam ay kinocombine sa ating ampicillin. Ampicillin plus Tazobactam. Brand name, Unacin. The other name for ampicillin plus Tazobactam is sultamicillin. Sultamicillin is the other name for ampicillin plus Tazobactam. Next, we have your Tazobactam. It is similar with Tazobactam, however, it is a more potent beta-lactamase inhibitor than Tazobactam. It has a slightly broader spectrum of activity than clavulanic acid. Ito naman sa Tazobactam ay kinocombine kay piperacillin. Piperacillin plus Tazobactam. Brand name, Piptaz. Piptaz or Zosyn. Z-O-S-Y-N. Next, we have CARBAPENEMs. Another classification. CARBAPENEMs are a class of antibiotics that substitute a carbon atom for a sulfur atom and add a double bond to the penicillin nucleus. So under carbapenems, we have ienomycin and imipenem. Ienomycin is from Streptomyces cattleya. Your imipenem is also known as your N-form imidoyl ienomycin, the most successful of a series of chemically stable derivatives of ienomycin, in which the primary amino group is converted to a non-nucleophilic basic function. Itong imipenem ay kinocombine kay cilastatin. Cilastatin is an inhibitor of dihydropeptidase 1. So, brand name, Aenam, A-I-E-N-A-M, or Primaxine. Next, we have meropenem. This is a second generation carbapenem. It is not hydrolyzed by dihydropeptidase 1 and is resistant to most beta-lactamases, including a few carbapenemases that hydrolyze carbapenem. Your biapenem is stable to dihydropeptidase 167 and resistant to most beta-lactamases. It is not active orally and is less susceptible to metallolactamases than either imipenem or meropenem. Next one, we have cephalosporins. So for the cephalosporin, our beta-lactam ring is attached to dihydrothiazine ring. The nucleus for our cephalosporin is 7-aminocephalosporanic acid. Yeah. Your penicillin N is also known as your delta-4-amino-4-carboxybutyl. Penicillin N is also known as your delta-4-amino-4-carboxybutyl. Next, we have cephalosporin C and Cephalosporin C turned out to be a close congener of penicillin N, which contains a dihydrotyrosinurine instead of thiazolidinurine of the penicillin. So, close congener of penicillin N is cephalosporin C. So, some of the oral preparation of our cephalosporins. Yan. Some of the parenteral preparations. Yan po. Yan. Some parenteral cephamycins, cefoxitin, cefoxitan, and cefmetazole. Yan. Ito po yung classification. First, second, third, fourth, and fifth. No? Habang pataas ang pataas po, pag mag-broad ng mag-broad, pa-extend ang kanyang spectrum of activity. Some products available sa market, we have Cephalexin, brand name Cefolex, Corexin, Cephalin. For the Cephachlor part, we have Celent, Ceclor, Ceclobid. For the Cefixime, we have Tergicef, Oxacillin, Tricep. Cephalexin is also known as your 7-delta-amino-phenylacetamino 3-methyl-cepham-carboxylic acid. Cefadoxil, brand name Duracef. Cefachlor, brand name Ceclor, Celent, Cefzil. Loracarbacef, brand name Loradid. Cephalotin, brand name Keflin. Cefazolin, brand name Ancef and Kefsol. Cefapirin, brand name Cefadil. Cefamandol, Mandol. Cefonicid, Monosid. Ceforamide, Presef. Cefoperazone, Cefobid. Cefoxitin, Mefoxin. Cefotitan, brand name Cefotitan. Cefuroxime sodium, brand name Zinacef. This is the first of a series of alpha-methox amino acid substituted cephalosporins that constitute most of the third generation agents available for clinical use. Brand name Ceftin. Cefodoxime, Bantin. Cefixime, Suprax. Cefotaxime, Claforam. Ceftriaxone, Rosepine. Ceftazidime, Fortas or Tazidime. New cephalosporins, we have Ceftibitin, brand name Cedox. Cefpirone, Cefprone. Cefepime, Maxipine, Axipine, brand names. Lastly, we have Monobactam. So, Monobactam, wala po siyang sulfur on the ring. The beta-lactam ring is not fused to another ring. Hence, there's no cross-sensitivity with penicillin. And it has an acyl amino side chain. For the source of our Monobactam, so meron tayo 3-methoxy group, which was in part responsible for beta-lactamase stability in this series, contributed to the low antibacterial potency and poor chemical stability of these antibiotics. For the 4-methyl group, however, this one increases the stability to beta-lactamases and activity against gram-negative bacteria at the same time. Examples of Monobactams, we have Aztreonam Disodium, brand name Aztreonam. So this will bind to penicillin binding protein 3 and gram-negative bacteria only. In contrast to the poor oral bioavailability of Aztreonam, our Tegemonam, meron siyang excellent oral absorption as compared to our Aztreonam.